What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 30th day of December in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. Reflecting on the country's economic performance as a new year beckons, President Irfan Ali on Sunday said that while a lot of attention has been focused on the oil and gas sector, the country's non-oil economy has grown by 41% since 2019. The president said while the booming oil and gas industry is fueling the country's economic growth, a large percentage of the national budget is being financed by the non-oil economy.
You will see that the non-oil GDP grew by 41%. 41% over the last 4 years. That is how the non-oil economy performed. That our policy focus and this demonstrate that the investment that we are making in economic diversification is paying dividends. This is to show that we are on our way of building a dynamic economy, one that will be globally competitive and one that is not stuck or overwhelmingly based on oil revenue.
The president attributed the growth of the non-oil economy to the agriculture, construction and services sector.
Agriculture, over the last 4 years, 17% growth. Services, 28% growth. Construction, 138% growth. Mining and others, 153% growth. This shows you, and this tells a story about an economy that is performing in every sector. One that has seen growth in almost all of the main areas of economic expansion, diversification, and modernization.
And he also said the expansion of those sectors have resulted in increased job opportunities, particularly in the areas of agriculture, construction, and services, as more persons are engaged in agro-processing and the construction of homes and hotels.
Far exceed the 50,000 jobs that we would have committed to in the manifesto. The 138% construction growth is further segmented into household, community growth, not only growth at the industrial and manufacturing level, or growth to the building of hotels and roads and office buildings, but growth at the household level, growth in home construction.
And although gold declarations, especially from small and medium-scale miners, have been under decline, the president said the mining sector, including the quarry sector, has seen a 153% growth rate. He said the growth in the non-oil economy has restored the private sector's confidence in the country's economy.
If you drive throughout the country, you'll see new factories, new processing plants, new housing schemes are all being invested in.
With increased growth in the economy and the expansion in various sectors, there is now an increase in the need for foreign currency, even as the country's export earnings increase, the president said. He said this is as a result of growth in the mining and productive sectors, which oftentimes require the importation of equipment, such as agricultural and industrial machines and materials to support the various sectors. The president anticipates that with increased investments by both the government and the private sector, even more growth and continued expansion of the country's economy are expected in the year ahead. More news coming up in just a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. It can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Did you know that Guyana has produced 500 million barrels of oil in less than 5 years? Production currently stands at approximately 650,000 barrels per day and is expected to reach 1.2 million barrels daily by 2027. Driving Guyana's future prosperity.
Premier Promotions, the Sheriff Entertainment, and Team Rodney presents Day 1 featuring Governor live from Jamaica.
Yo, shut your mouth with a little bit of money.
Sure. Man a star, yo, I know every girl fit me.
Governor at Flashback Washdown, Aziza Akusa Creek, outside Splashmans. Sunday, 5th January. Also featuring Quelly Ranks at Oosh Boss, Bobby Cush and Jerome, Slingers Family, Notorious International, and Green Downs. Day 1, Flashback Washdown, featuring Governor live.
Girl, you have a cute and a little.
Gates open at 9 a.m. Admission easy. Sponsored by Crowns Auto Nation, Extra Beer, Fireside Grill, and Rodney's Court. Day 1.
The distribution of the cash grant to pensioners in Region 4 started today, triggering long lines and some confusion in a number of areas. The NIS offices were being used for the distribution of the grant, and many of the senior citizens complained about the process.
Well, I said, in my opinion, the government should have given us our money the same day when we drive in pension. My opinion, but you gotta wait and then. You understand me? They should have given us our money when we drive in pension, and we be big, you know, so they should have given me money the same time. Since 6 o'clock in the outing, just to go up to the line and hear that it's ready.
So the check not ready. And then I tell me what. Coming in when you're ready. How you feel about this? So very bad. Very, very bad. Yeah, then I got no proper system there. But to say that, you know, you come here, you check ready, and everything. So what more thing you see done already?
Since 6 o'clock this morning I was here. Served the government faithfully at Guyana National Shipping Corporation. And here I have to be here in this sun and water because look how I can't move with 1 foot. This is not right, sir. Something have to be done. No, until now I get you. Until now. It's hard. It's hard when you serve our government, Mr. Jack Dio. He know me well. Once I was bodyguard for him.
Many of them found themselves returning to the registration sites only to be told that they have to go to another area. Additionally, many complained that the process to uplift the checks was just as detailed as the registration process. Meanwhile, late this afternoon, the government announced that it will start late registration for the cash grant from tomorrow, the 31st of December. In Georgetown, persons can go to the Umana Yana in High Street, Kingston, and the National Gymnasium on Mandela Avenue. In Regions 1, 4, 7, 8, and 9, they can visit the RDC offices in those regions. And in Regions 1, 4, and 9, they can also visit the Neighborhood Democratic Councils in those regions. Well, Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty today ruled that the elections fraud case would have to be tried de novo, meaning it will have to start afresh. The ruling has nullified the previous trial, which was initiated by City Magistrate Lerone Daly, but ended abruptly after she fell ill. The acting chief magistrate today said now that the issue of de novo is out of the way, the court must now decide whether there should be a summary trial or an indictable one. With the prosecution long advancing its arguments for there to be a summary trial, the acting chief magistrate called on the defense, led by attorney Nigel Hughes, to make its submission. Hughes said he could not preempt the decision of the court, but the defense is in favor of an indictable trial.
The matter was called this morning before Her Worship Magistrate Magusi, and she delivered a ruling. She accepted the submissions from the defense that when a matter has to go de novo, she is in the same position as when they first came to court, and consequently she has to make a determination as to whether the matter will proceed indictively or summarily. As a consequence of that, the prosecution had earlier put in submissions in relation to the summary disposal. We're of course opposing that, and she's given us a week to put in submissions against their application, and the matter has been adjourned to the 13th of January for her to rule, and then we go on from there.
Special Prosecutor Darshan Ramdani has explained that from the inception, the court clearly identified 3 issues to be addressed: whether the case should be heard de novo, whether it should be heard summarily or indictably, and whether the magistrate could revisit the charges. He said the defense chose to only address the de novo issue. He also did not object to the defense being afforded additional time to address the outstanding issues, in particular whether there should be a summary trial or an indictable one. The trial into the alleged attempt to commit fraud during the last elections commenced back in July. However, it was adjourned after just 3 days. At the time, only 2 witnesses had testified. It was during the adjournment that the magistrate fell ill. The defendants in the matter are former Chief Election Officer Keith Lowenfield, former Deputy Chief Election Officer Roxanne Myers, and former Region 4 Returning Officer Clement Mingo, along with Opposition Member of Parliament Volder Lawrence, PNC Reform Member Carol Smith-Joseph, and Election Officer Chauffeur in February, Enrique Leven, Denise Bob Cummings, and Michelle Miller. They are facing 19 conspiracy charges related to an alleged attempt to declare fraudulent results during the 2020 elections. They have all denied the allegations against them. With opposition leader Aubrey Norton signaling his intention to challenge the appointment of Clifton Hicken as the Commissioner of Police, Attorney General Anil Nandlal has said he is ready for the challenge, as he believes such a challenge will fall flat in the court. Mr. Nandlal said the Constitution permits the appointment of a police commissioner, even after he passes the age of 55 and is acting in the position.
It's not where one is being imported into the office. The distinction, a subtle but material one, is that Mr. Hicken was acting as Commissioner of Police in office when he was confirmed. That distinction is lost upon those who are advancing the contention. And Mr. Hicken can continue to hold that office until he's 60 years old, provided that the President permits him in that office for that period.
The Attorney General said there is nothing in law which has so far been pointed to show that the appointment of Mr. Hicken was done outside of constitutional provisions.
We will welcome the legal challenge and we will go to court. It's perhaps important that I reflect on the fact that Mr. Norton is claiming that he was not consulted. Mr. Norton seems to think that consultation must be at what he perceived consultation to be. The Constitution defines consultation, and we have complied with the letter and spirit of the Constitution in relation to consultations regarding Mr. Hicken's appointment.
According to Nandlal, the President was required to consult the Police Service Commission and the Leader of the Opposition, and both were done. He said there was no need for an agreement from any of the consulted parties. He said while the Police Service Commission offered its support, the Leader of the Opposition did not offer his support. President Irfan Ali last week appointed Mr. Hicken as the police commissioner, along with 5 deputies. Mr. Hicken passed the age of retirement more than a year ago. The opposition leader has stated that he plans to challenge the appointment, noting that he was not consulted and that Mr. Hicken should not have been promoted and confirmed in the position after the age of retirement, even if his acting appointment was extended.
The Guyana Elections Commission GCOM will be conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing January 2, 2025 to produce an official list of electors OLE. If you will be 18 years or over by December 31, 2024 and you are a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors PLE in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can make a claim for registration, change or correction to your particulars, or you can object to the inclusion of anyone who you believe should not be on the list. If you are desirous of making a claim or objection, you must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to do so. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to conduct any of the above transactions. Opening hours. All GCOM registration offices will be open Mondays to Fridays from 8 hours to 18 hours, Saturdays and Sundays from 10 hours to 14 hours. For further information, contact GCOM at 225-0278-9, 226-6557, 8 and 9, 223-9650, or visit our website at www.gcom.org.gy.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Premier Promotions, the Sheriff Entertainment, and Team Rodney presents Day 1 featuring Governor live from Jamaica.
Yo, shut your mouth with a little bit of money.
Sure, man, a star, yo, I know every girl fit me.
Governor at Flashback Washdown, Aziza Akusa Creek outside Splashmans, Sunday 5th January. Also featuring Quelly Ranks at Oosh Boss, Bobby Cush and Jerome, Slingers Family, Notorious International, and Green Downs. Day 1, Flashback Washdown, featuring Governor live.
Girl, you have the cute and a little.
Gates open at 9 a.m. Admission easy. Sponsored by Crowns Auto Nation, Extra Beer, Fireside Grill, and Rodney's Court. Day 1.
The state will be challenging a recent judgment by the Supreme Court which awarded $24 million to the family of Quindon Bacchus, who was shot dead unlawfully by the police in June 2022. The announcement came from the Solicitor General. At a press conference over the weekend, Solicitor General Nigel Hawke noted that while the state accepts full liability for the death of Mr. Bacchus, the quantum of the compensation awarded to his family will be challenged, since it is felt that there has been an overreach on the part of the judge.
We think that matters worthy of an appeal, so to set the record straight at the appellate level, because remember you're dealing here with compensation. It's a large amount of compensation. And mind you, we want to set the record straight here. We did accept liability. It's just the issue of quantum we were dealing with. And we think the arguments in relation to quantum, some of the considerations by the judge was, in our respectful opinion, over repeal, and that is why we have since appealed.
And for his part, the Attorney General Anil Nandlal said when judges are asked to assess compensation, it must be guided by previous award of similar circumstances, or such a ruling could open the floodgates for wrongful compensation to be given in the future.
As SG said, we did not contest liability. We felt that the police officers were wrong, and there was a finding to that effect by the Police Complaints Authority. The DPP filed criminal charges against the offending officers. Against that backdrop, we felt it would have been wrong for the state to contest liability. So we went to the judge and we said, look, the state is wrong, let us only deal with compensation. And compensation has to be assessed based upon what is pleaded. What is pleaded, the judge can't go outside of that. And we felt that the judge entered the arena and granted reliefs, granted measure of damages that were not before him.
Bacchus, who was the father of one, was shot dead on the 10th of June in 2022 at Haslington on the east coast of the Demerara by Police Lance Corporal Christophe de Nobrega. De Nobrega has been charged with Bacchus's murder. In addition to de Nobrega, two other ranks, Lance Corporal Simon and Sergeant McLennan, were also charged with attempting to obstruct the course of justice. Lance Corporal Simon was also charged with the offense of conduct prejudicial to good order and discipline. Police investigators in Linden are probing an early morning shooting incident that has left 5 persons nursing injuries and the search for a number of suspects. According to a statement from the police, a violent altercation took place just after 6 o'clock on Sunday morning at the Five Corner Junction at Mackenzie in Linden. The police said during that altercation between two groups of persons, at least 3 of them drew firearms and discharged multiple shots, resulting in injuries to a number of persons. The persons who sustained injuries have been listed as 27-year-old Rondell Rodney of 1 Mile Wisma, 21-year-old Tyron Newton of Half Mile Wisma, 25-year-old Brian Johnson of Half Mile Wisma, Glaston Bristol of Redwood Crescent Mackenzie, and a 17-year-old boy from Wisma. The police said Johnson sustained a stabbing to the right eye while Bristol was chopped to the head and had to be rushed to the Georgetown Hospital. The police also said Bristol is suspected to be one of the individuals who opened fire. 2 other men identified as Joe B. and Shaquille Lambert, called Shaq, were also suspected to be discharging firearms, but the 2 are still to be arrested. The Guyana police force has explained that gunshot residue swabs were collected from the hands of all the injured persons. Evidence recovered from the scene includes 7 9mm spent shell casings, 2 9mm live rounds, and 1 warhead. Earlier this month, 2 of the injured men, Brian Johnson and Rondell Rodney, were arrested by the police at Carrier in the Essequibo, following the discovery of an unlicensed weapon and ammunition. The probe into yesterday morning's incident in Linden is ongoing. An all-boys Tang mother of 3 has been sent into mourning after losing one of her children in a fire at her small wooden house in Cooper Street, all-boys Tang, this morning. The dead child has been identified as 3-year-old Amani Abrams. According to a report from the police, little Amani was left alone at home with his 2 siblings, an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old. The 2 older children managed to escape from the burning building when it became engulfed in flames. The mother of the children, Tandika Bailey, told investigators that she works as a vendor and left the children at home at around 7 p.m. last evening to vent in the Regent Street area. She said she was preparing to head home just after 1:30 this morning when she was contacted and told that her house was on fire. She said she hurried across to the scene of the blaze and was met by her 2 older children, who told her that Amani had been left behind as the heat forced them out. The child's charred remains were discovered in a section of the bedroom of the house. He was burned beyond recognition. The Guyana Fire Service has launched a full investigation and continues to warn about unattended children being left alone at home.
GCOM will be conducting a claims and objections exercise commencing January 2, 2025 to produce an official list of electors, OLE.
If you will be 18 years or over by December 31, 2024, and you are a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GCOM has posted the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. If you have changed your address since you were registered, you need to visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your new area of residence to apply for a transfer. Wednesday, January 15, 2025 is the last day you can apply for a transfer during this exercise. For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-278-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyana is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. I can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. One leap of faith. One day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Across the region tonight, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has declared a state of emergency after a weekend of violence in the Caribbean dual island nation took the number of murders this year to 623. 5 men were shot overnight in an estate on the outskirts of the capital of Port of Spain. A man killed outside a police station on Saturday, and the 57-year-old woman was shot dead on Friday as she collected her teenage son from a hospital in San Fernando. In a population of 1.5 million, the unprecedented tally for 2024 makes Trinidad and Tobago one of the most violent countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. Under the emergency powers announced by the Office of the Prime Minister, the police and the army have widespread authority to detain individuals without charge and search properties without warrants. In a statement, the Prime Minister Kit Rowley said he was disappointed in the murder tally for this year and appealed to the police to use their new powers to make life uncomfortable for criminals. The government of Suriname has announced that there will be no state funeral for ex-President Desi Bouterse, who died last week as a fugitive from justice. He was 79 years old. The current president, Shan Santoki, has decided based on his powers and the advice received that there will be no state funeral, no period of national mourning. Bouterse was a former military man who twice mounted coups in 1980 and again in 1990 to take charge as a dictator. He eventually returned to power after being elected president in 2010 and governed for over a decade. He died last Tuesday in an unknown location where he had been holed up as a fugitive with in absentia convictions for cocaine trafficking and murder. His body was dropped off at his residence in the capital of Paramaribo. An autopsy was ordered, though the police said there were no signs of criminal activity. Bautasé had been sentenced to 20 years in jail in December of last year for the 1982 execution of political opponents, including lawyers, journalists, businessmen, and military prisoners. And finally tonight, international news. Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. The Russian Defense Ministry said it has swapped 150 Ukrainian soldiers held captive for an equal number of Russian troops. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said 189 Ukrainians had returned home. He said those released were defenders of the country. Outside a hospital in northern Ukraine, anxious relatives were wrapped up against a bitter cold winter, waiting for their loved ones. The Russian Defense Ministry, meanwhile, said newly released Russian troops were in Belarus, an ally of Russia, and were being given medical assistance and the chance to contact their families. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting and encouraging you to have a safe and enjoyable night.